what we all know is that the children of our community, therefore our children, elementary, middle, high school students, started going back to school in the last few weeks. And most of them, wherever they live, went back to school to endure a drill, during which they were taught about how they must hide in a closet or crouch in a corner in the event there is a mass shooter roaming the hallways of their school. I've met teachers who, for teacher orientation before classes started, were being trained on how to tackle a gunman. I met elementary school teachers during orientation before classes started who were being taught about how they should carry red lollipops in the event that their elementary school students needed to be quieted down if there was a mass shooter roaming the hallways of their school. I talk about this everywhere, and I cannot tell you the number of children. There was one young leader, I will call her, who was telling me about how when she was 5, a year ago, she had to endure a drill, as though it were a secret between us, a tragic secret. And here's the thing, when our kids come home, the children of our community, come home and ask us, when they look at us, the adults, and they ask us, why did we have to have that drill? Of course, our response is, in large part because there are supposed leaders in Washington, D.C. who have failed to have the courage to reject a false choice, which suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away. Who have failed to have the courage to say, hey, fine if you want to go hunting, but we need reasonable gun safety laws in our country, including universal background checks and a renewal of the assault weapons ban. Nobody, I don't want to waste your time. Let's have some real talk. And often the issue of mental health and mental illness is brought up by people who do not want to see us pass laws that are about reasonable gun safety laws. And so they bring it up as with an intention to deflect and distract from the fact that we need to do both. And that one is not to the exclusion of the other.
You know, one thing I tell folks in our community, when we go to DC and talk to our lawmakers, you know, about a variety of issues, until somebody is personally impacted, rarely will they feel compelled to take action. Ladies and gentlemen, our community has been rocked. Those 3 shootings resulted in the death of 2 people. One of them, a young man, 18 years of age. What have we done? What are we doing? You know, it's not just the tribe. This is not just a tribal problem. This is a Tacoma, Pierce County problem. We are coming together with folks from
communities stand up for future generations, and we've seen the Muslim community here in the Pacific Northwest and other communities stand up and fight against gun violence. I think often though, you know, we lean on our faith when we know not what else to do. And we've heard a lot of politicians lean on their faith by offering thoughts and prayers. And I'm curious to know from your perspective, how does that resonate with folks? And how, as a faith leader, do you help folks like me not become numb to that seeking and guidance of our faith as we try to struggle with gun violence?
That's a very great question and a tough one as well. I will say it sounds hollow, as everybody can understand, when people say thoughts and prayers as pretty much the only response to so many acts of violence that we see happening. And as faith leaders, it's really difficult to be in that position to continue to inspire and give hope and try to build unity and solidarity despite this sort of repetition, this cycle that just keeps repeating itself. And it seems we never get out of that cycle into actual action and actual change. So it's a very difficult place to be in. I will say that for me, it started sounding just almost as an insult when you hear the thoughts and prayers by the very same people who are often blocking action that could save the very same lives of the people we're talking about. And it's also very important to remember the role that faith leaders and faith communities do play in this conversation. So I'm so glad to be part of this conversation because we need to engage faith leaders and faith communities to help address some of the underlying issues. Because even if we were to take all the action that Senator Harris you proposed, which I like that you proposed that, even if we were to do all of that, that is not going to end the violence. That is not even going to end potentially the mass shootings that we've seen and the atrocious numbers there. We really need to address so much deeper some of the underlying root causes of these issues. And I remember with the New Zealand attack at the mosque I'm with, the Muslim Association of Puget Sound, we were going to have an action after that. And we said, you know what, I was flat out very adamant about this. I said, I will not do just another event where we come together in solidarity, which is fabulous, but all we do is share thoughts and prayers. That cannot be the extent of what we do as faith leaders. We have to show leadership and get people engaged in action and understanding the root causes of some of these issues. Now with New Zealand, it was Islamophobia. In other instances, it's anti-Semitism or anti-Black racism. But we also have to recognize that our culture has this culture of violence and toxic masculinity comes into it, and we have perpetuated every single day, and our faith communities can help address some of those by building through the different times, like not stopping after the media attention goes away, but being engaged throughout the year to build community with each other, help build people, bring people together, and continue to teach the teachings that we all share in terms of faith communities to help teach some of the love to overpower the hate, the violence, the fear, all of the negativity that we are seeing. That's the role that I think faith communities have to play, because otherwise, if you get people losing hope and falling into despair, that leads to inaction. And that also leads to horrible action, some of the negative action that we've seen when people have lost faith. So we cannot allow people to lose faith and hope. We have to, but we cannot also end with thoughts and prayers. And I'm a firm believer in God, and God, I believe in prayers having an impact, but God has us here appointed as caretakers for a reason. We have to do our job